recording. This meeting is being recorded and we're going to post a copy of it onto our Call for Projects webpage. Once I run through the slides, I'm going to go ahead and open it up for any Q&A that anyone may have. So just to kind of go over the main role of Ford Pinellas, as a metropolitan planning organization or an MPO, our main role is, or one of our main roles is to develop an annual list of priority projects. These projects, we seek to align our transportation funding with the land use goals that are outlined in Advantage Pinellas, our long-range transportation plan. So we're really looking for projects that we know when we invest our transportation dollars, there's going to be some kind of land use benefit on the other side. And once we come up with those list of priorities, we work with the Florida Department of Transportation to get them funded and get them under construction. This is the timeline for the call for projects. The call for projects opened last week on the 25th. Today, obviously, is our webinar. We are requiring, once again, a pre-application meeting between myself and any applicant. The deadline for that is September 11th. So if you have ideas that you'd like to talk through, if you intend to submit any kind of application, please reach out to me directly and set up that one-on-one meeting so that we can talk through your ideas and the process. If you need any kind of technical assistance in terms of mapping support or data, we have a lot of crash data, traffic counts, things like that that may be helpful for your application. If you could let us know no later than September 18th, just so that we can make sure that we have time to turn around and turn the data around to meet your request. The deadline for applications is going to be 5 p.m. on October 30th. The committee will have a subcommittee that's going to meet in February to review the recommendations and make a recommendation to the board. And then the board will take action in March of next year. May of next year, we'll get those projects prioritized and on the list. And then on July 1st, the funds will be available for the planning projects. This year, we are only opening the call for projects for planning and construction. We are not opening the transportation alternatives priority list at this time. The transportation alternatives list is restricted to just bicycle and pedestrian projects. And there's a number of projects on that list that are still kind of making their way through the process, and adding more onto the list won't get any more of them funded any quicker. So we'd like to leave that list as it is for the moment. For the concept planning project, the minimum project award is going to be $35,000. The total amount of funds available is $150,000. Each agency that applies can submit a maximum of 2 applications. The project will begin on July 1st, 2027, or roughly around that time, and it must conclude by June 30th, 2028. Now, this is something different than we have done in the past. For the planning funds, Ford Pinellas will manage the project on behalf and in coordination with the applicant. Previously, we required that the applicant enter into agreement with one of our general planning consultants, and that they had to manage the consultant and the invoicing and all that fun stuff. This year, we're proposing that Ford Pinellas will do that for the local government. We have received some requests from some of our smaller local governments that this would be advantageous to them so that they didn't have to go through all those hoops. And it just saves a lot of steps in the process for those receiving the funds for us to just go ahead and manage it on their behalf. For those planning grants, this is just a list of some of the things that could utilize those funds: transportation concept plans, safety analyses, even evaluation of conditions for pilot technology applications. These projects must have some kind of transportation component. It cannot be purely land use. And in past grant cycles, the projects that have been most successful are those that have both transportation, but also a demonstrated benefit to the surrounding land uses. The minimum criteria and the scoring is no different than in years past. We require that there be some kind of demonstration of local support for the project. This could be a resolution from your governing body or inclusion of the project in a capital improvements program, something to that effect. We also want to see the linkage to how it advances goals of the countywide land use plan. And again, we require that pre-application meeting with our staff. In terms of scoring, the criteria are up here as to how the projects will be scored. It's the potential to involve the public, to improve safety, to improve facilities that contribute to the MAX index. That is an internal indices that we've developed that looks at not just the level of service of a corridor, but a lot of different land use and transportation factors that come into the that really go into the accessibility of a corridor. The potential to improve access to and along an investment corridor, the potential to improve access to a CRA, the ability of the project to serve multiple modes, and also if it completes a gap in the network. On the side of the construction and capital projects, up to $3 million will be made available. This project will be added to the priority list next May, the one that is chosen, and we will seek inclusion in the new 5th year of the FDOT work program. So that'll be the 2029 to 2033 work program. It's not a guarantee that it'll fall into 2033, but we've had some pretty good success in the last several years of targeting that new 5th year. The minimum project award is going to be $300,000. And again, there's a max of 2 applications per agency. These grants are pretty broad and very flexible. They could be used for roadway improvements, procurement of counting equipment, technological equipment, bicycle parking infrastructure, as long as that infrastructure is on public right-of-way, safety improvement projects, the whole manner. The minimum criteria on this, again, no change from last time. It's the local support, the advancing goals of the countywide land use plan. Because these are federal dollars, you must be LAP certified to receive them. LAP is local agency program. This is a pretty rigorous process mandated by the federal government. It does increase the cost of a project when you federalize it, so something to keep in mind. We want to make sure that right-of-way is available and secured. If you're applying for funds, right-of-way always slows down a project. So please make sure that right-of-way is available and secured before submitting an application for construction funding. You do need to complete an FDOT funding application that's included in the application materials. And again, a pre-application meeting with our team. The scoring for this is very similar to the concept planning, except instead of potential to, we want to actually see that the public is going to be involved. The project will improve safety, it'll improve access, and could include complete a gap in the network. Serving multiple modes has also been a very high scoring factor considered in previous applications. So if you're looking to just add a single crosswalk, probably not going to score as highly as a project that serves not just bicyclists and pedestrians, but also has some kind of benefit for all members of the traveling public. So again, the pre-application meeting is required. So reach out to me and set up a time for us to talk through your ideas. When you submit your application, you must use the online application. Supporting documentation can be added via a portal, and the application must be submitted all at one time. You can't start and then save your progress and then come back later and finish submitting the application. Unfortunately, it all has to be done at once. It's not a very onerous process. We tried to make it fairly straightforward, but if you come across any technological challenges as you're trying to submit it, just reach out to me. We'll work through it with you. We don't want anyone to have, the 5 p.m. deadline and internet access or trouble with the site to be the reason they didn't get their application in time. So just reach out to us. We'll work with you. And then what we're going to do is put together a subcommittee of technical coordinating committee and planners advisory committee members. These are local government planning and transportation experts from communities that do not submit an application. And what we have that all of the members of that subcommittee do is independently score each project. And then they come together and we combine scores, and then we delete the lowest and highest score from each application, average those or add them all together, and then that is the final score for the projects that get recommended to the board. And that scoring methodology is also included online in the application packet. So in summary, technical assistance deadline is September 18th, application deadline October 30th. There's committee recommendations in February with board approval targeted for March. Planning project can start July 1st, 2026 with all phases complete by June 30th, 28, and that construction funding goal is 2033. Now with that, I'm happy to take any questions that anyone has. If you have a question, please use the raise hand feature and I'll go ahead and call you. My contact information is here up on the screen. And Joan, I see you have a question.
Good morning, Chelsea. Thank you for this information. I have a question though. You have to fill out the Surface Transportation Block Grant funding application for DOT. Is that where the funding is coming from?
For the construction dollars, yes, it is coming from the Surface Transportation Block Grant Program.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Braden.
Hi, Chelsea. I have a question about the lab certification. I just found out that we've previously been lab certified and our certification has lapsed. Do we need to have that certification renewed and approved prior to the application submittal deadline, or would that be like prior to awards being funded?
That's a great question. You do not have to have it lined up in advance. What we would be looking for is a commitment from your city to attain LAP certification if awarded the funding. And then we would kind of have annual check-ins with you and the Florida Department of Transportation just to kind of make sure you're on track and making progress. You can be project specific certified, so you don't need like a global LAP certification that maybe the city of St. Petersburg or Pinellas County may have. Our smaller jurisdictions tend to go in at project specific, and we'll work with you if your project receives the funding to get all of that lined up before the funding actually becomes available in 2033.
Okay, that's awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, I'm not seeing any other hands go up. So again, we're recording this meeting. We're going to post it online. If you have any other questions that come up between now and October 30th, please reach out to me directly. I'm happy to talk through your projects, your suggestions. I do not participate in the scoring myself, so I'm also happy to give suggestions and pointers that might make your application more successful. I've said this before and I'll say it again. You do not need to hire a consultant to put together an application for you. We do not fund projects based on the graphics that are included and the snazzy cover on your application. It's really about the data and the information that's contained within. So as long as your applications are easy for us to understand and align with the scoring criteria, you have the same chance as everyone else in receiving funding. So thank you all so much for participating today. I appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and end the webinar, and we will talk all soon. Thank you.